The so-called Australian government, as it stands today, is an illegal enterprise, and it's time the people knew the facts. Let's begin with the truth they don't want you to hear. 1. The Australian government was never lawfully established. In 1973, the Royal Style and Titles Act unlawfully removed reference to the Queen of the United Kingdom, replacing it with Queen of Australia, a legal fiction. Without the consent of the people or proper constitutional process, they created a corporate entity, not a government. Since then, every act, every law, and every policy has operated under false pretenses. 2. The 1999 referendum was a distraction. While they asked if we wanted a republic, they never asked if we wanted to sever ties to our true lawful constitution, yet that's exactly what they proceeded to do. The people said no, but the corporate government pressed forward anyway, pretending to serve while actually ruling by deception. 3. The Australian Taxation Office, ATO, has no lawful foundation. The ATO is not listed as a legal entity under the Public Governance, Performance and Accountability Act. It is a private corporation registered in Washington, D.C. under the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. That's right. Your hard-earned money is being stolen by an agency that doesn't even legally exist under Australian law. SOTA 4, your rights have been sold. Through international trade agreements, privatizations, and the constant erosion of common law, this corporate government has treated the people of Australia as commodities. They've created a system where we are taxed, regulated, and judged under maritime admiralty law, not the land law of our forebears. 5. Our land has been misused. From selling off resources to foreign corporations to desecrating sacred indigenous sites, this government does not act on behalf of the people or the land. It acts on behalf of profit and control. But here's what they cannot take: our sovereignty, our spirit, our birthright as free men and women of the land known as Terra Australis. I call on every Australian to awaken. This is not conspiracy. These are verifiable legal facts. This is not rebellion. This is restoration, a return to lawful government, to truth, and to justice. We are not subjects of a corporate empire. We are the rightful custodians of this land. To those who sit in seats of stolen power, know this: your time is ending. To the people, rise with love, rise with wisdom, rise with fire in your hearts, not hatred, but a fire that will burn through deception and light the path to a new dawn. This is your land. This is your birthright, and it's time to take it back. Thank you.
Parliament and Government plc is a for-profit company listed on Dun & Bradstreet. It's a fact. They are just a private corporation with equal standing to McDonald's, Tesco, Asda, or any other private limited company or corporation. They are no different and have absolutely no authority over us. Acts of Parliament and statutory legislation is their company policy. It applies to the members of that company. The MPs, police, judges, NHS, etc., anyone classed as a public servant. It does not just magically apply to living men and women. 67 million people in Britain did not sign a formal agreement consenting to be governed by other men and women calling themselves the government. Nothing, and I mean nothing, that comes from the government is applicable to any living man or woman unless you consent to it by way of a legally binding contract. It's really simple. No contract equals no obligation. These public servants are operating under the presumption that if you're physically in the UK, their acts and statutes apply to you and give them jurisdiction over you. It's a presumption. And the fact is, there will never be any material evidence for that being true because there is no evidence. A presumption can be dismissed by a legal challenge. Would you adhere to the McDonald's company policy even though you don't work there? No. Would you take orders from the members of your local church just because you live within their parish? Nah. Would you allow the manager of Asda to behave like your boss, tell you what you can and can't do? No. Why are men and women taking orders from a bunch of criminals pretending to be government? Orders which are coming through the television and other media. Not even through a formal source, a letter, something pretending to be a contract even would be more plausible when they're stripping you of your rights. But then people might question it when they saw it in black and white on their doorstep. Maybe they don't want you to read the small print. Why is anyone afraid of these clowns? Time to learn your rights and ensure that our police constables are acting under their oath. The oath they took to protect us, not the government.
So I want to give you a diagram. This is the basic idea of how a jurisdiction works. This is you, and you work at Walmart, and you work in the automotive department. And there's a manager there, and he said, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars per hour, and you have to show up here and put hours in as I say. And you go, okay, I agree to that. Now, what if the automotive guy tells you, I want you to show up on Sunday night at 2 o'clock in the morning when the store is not open? You could go to the manager of the Walmart store and say, this guy's trying to make me come in when we're not open. That's against your policy. The automotive manager cannot make you do something that's outside the jurisdiction of the Walmart store. Now, the Walmart store is in Detroit. This is a corporation. So now Walmart, because it's in Detroit, has to obey the rules of Detroit. Now outside of Detroit is Michigan. It's a corporation, and Detroit is subject to the laws of Michigan. Now Michigan is inside what is called the USA. It's another corporation, and Michigan is part of that corporation. Now outside of this is the real USA, the original republic. Unfortunately, they sound the same. So people think that they're here when they've agreed to be in here. Just like you agreed to go here. And there's people that are wondering why the Constitution doesn't work in courts. Because the courts are here. So when you bring the Constitution in, they're going, that has nothing to do with us. You think you're here, but you're actually here, and that's the biggest problem. What you have to understand is this is subject to this. You just got to approach it in the right way. They don't tell you this, though. You're assuming you're here, and they will let you think that, but you're actually here. And you're there by agreement, just like Walmart. Now, there's another set of laws called the law merchant. This law merchant is a set of laws to govern what we call commercial law or admiralty law. Outside of this USA, and actually part of this Republic of USA, which is the original, this is where the Constitution is what's called the common law. So the United States was founded on the common law, as was Canada, and they are still both functioning, but you got to know how to invoke them. So once I understood this, and I learned a little bit about a law merchant, and then I knew that Canada was a corporation, and I knew that the courts were just another corporation inside that, I started treating them like that. This is just business. And you guys are subject to these outside things. So as long as I'm out here, I'm above you. And so I started trying stuff. I went into court, and we usually wait outside the courtroom because I don't like doing all the bowing to the judge. It's very ritualistic. So we waited till my name got called, and we walked through the door. Big door out because it got paged. They obviously called the case in the courtroom, and then when I didn't show up, they page outside. So we walked through the courtroom, and as I'm walking into the courtroom, the judge is running off the bench. Full flight. Cape blowing, out the door, and I went, what was that? And everybody else in the room was the same thing, like, what's going on? And so the sheriff goes, all rise? Like a question, I guess we're having a break?
Do people have lesser rights if they're represented by a lawyer or by an attorney?
Well, your rights never disappear. You waive them in order to be represented by somebody else. A judge will look at your actions. So if you come in saying, I got this right and I got that right, but you're represented by a lawyer, he's going, no, he, in his mind, he's just looking at you, no, you don't get it, you don't have those rights. You can say that all you want, but you've waived them. So he will assume that you don't have those rights, and he will make his judgments safely accordingly.
Is that why traditional legal processes, especially in issues of magnitude, such as the worldwide agenda to deploy radiating surveillance meters, is that why traditional legal processes don't seem to be successful?
Exactly. Because they've taught you to go and fight down here, play this other game in courts and all that stuff, and that's what we believe is where the remedy is, and they're just looking at you, well, sorry.